A busy week for Hunter Biden's legal team, kicking off today as they plan to ask a Delaware judge to drop his gun charges. And it's a case carrying a maximum of 25 years of jail time. Also, this week, we're expecting a preliminary hearing on those 9 new tax charges filed just days ago. The first one is looking at a maximum of 42 years behind bars. Fox News legal analyst Kerri Kupec Urbahn joins us now. Kerri, first off, on the charges that came down last week, when do you think we're going to see him arraigned?
I would think sometime this week. They're going to do it as quickly as possible out in California.
Does that mean we're done with charges for him?
Oh, I don't think so. I think there's a possibility that the Department of Justice brings charges under FARA, the Foreign Agent Registration Act, for him potentially failing to file as a foreign agent when he was doing business on behalf of these companies in Ukraine and China. And of course, he was doing business that very much touched a lot of what his father was doing.
And I'm amazed that Democrats seem to be saying, okay, we're going to do this. Hunter's a bad guy, nothing to do with the president. And the question that brings us to the inquiry of James Comer. They don't care about Hunter. Whatever his addiction problem is and his love of hookers, that's something he can deal with as his therapist. And it's wrong not to pay taxes. However, how it relates to Joe, where's that investigation going? And the fact is, Joe was meeting with his business partners, has been at the restaurant, did call into these situations, was told by Hunter Biden, my dad is sitting next to me, and he's not happy, and the Bidens are always going to remember this. We have long memories, to paraphrase. So where does Comer go with this?
Yeah, it all boils down to what did Joe know and what did he do with that knowledge? And that's what Comer's been trying to get at for how many months now. And to your point, Brian, there are White House logs. There are all kinds of emails and evidence that shows how Joe Biden was interacting with his son's business partners, which, of course, on its face is completely okay. But the question is, was there any pay for play that was happening when Joe Biden was vice president? And we'll see from that point on.
So we know that Eric Sherwin, who has got a fallout with the family, was handling the finances. He had worked in the White House under a previous administration, and then he just ended up being with the Biden family. He was with Joe. He was with Hunter. They did talk about interacting. We're going to get money in this account, put it in that account. When he goes behind closed doors, how significant?
I think it's significant for sure, given, to your point, how close he was involved with the family and the kinds of conversations he was having with them. And one fact, Brian, that I think keeps getting lost in the coverage of all of this is the fact that an independent bank auditor, basically a watchdog within the bank, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, people who just work there, that's what they do every day for a job, they flagged payments from China to Hunter a number of times, saying they were suspicious, that they didn't match up for potential services that were offered. In fact, there was one internal bank employee that even flagged something as possible human trafficking payments. So these are not politicians. Right. They're not part of Comer's committee. And yet this is the kind of evidence we're seeing Comer's committee produce.
Normal crackheads knock off a liquor store and get their family in trouble. This is international business dealings. It's really hard to get your head around. So last night, Donald Trump put on Truth Social that he will not be testifying this week in his civil trial. And I heard that his lawyers did not want him to testify in his own defense. He's already testified once. Why wouldn't you want him to testify?
Well, I think they probably think he did a pretty good job the first time around. And of course, when you have a client, it's always dangerous to allow, whether it's Donald Trump or anyone else, to allow your client to speak and speak and speak. They know that the government, the state government here in New York, is determined to get him on, take apart his words, all these kinds of things. And he made a pretty good case for himself the first time he testified, which is just a month or so ago, where he said, look, never in New York history has someone been prosecuted for inflating real estate values without a victim. There's no victim here. The banks didn't have a problem with the loans. We paid the loans back. And so
the NYU Stern School professor who said those books look great. Right. I have no problem with that. I thought that was significant. But you said he's already lost. They already said he committed fraud. It's just how much. They're setting up for an appeal. Does Letitia James making those speeches on the steps of the courthouse, the fact that she has all these things on tape of her saying, I'm going after Donald Trump, does that play a role legally in an appeal?
It depends on what they appeal, but certainly it shows bias. It shows political bias. It shows motive on the part of the state that raises questions of fundamental fairness, notions of justice, these kinds of issues, which I'm sure will be discussed on appeal. Letitia James, as you said, campaigned on going after Trump. She's been actively tweeting about it. She's been attending the trial, putting aside all of her duties every day to sit in the front row and smile at everyone sitting there. And like I've said before,
you've been there.
AGs are very busy. That means that on the taxpayer's dime, she is choosing to shirk everything else she has to do for the state of New York to sit there and be in the shot and do press conferences with this case against Donald Trump.
And it confirms what Trump says, this is all about personal and politics. And you're there every step of the way, right? You've been to the court a lot. Kerri, thanks so much. Great to see you.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.